Here for updates and analysis on the war in Iran is retired Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub, a geopolitical strategist, former battalion commander, and Black Hawk pilot in the U.S. Army. Colonel, thanks for being here. President Trump says the war is pretty much complete and that they've wiped out every single force in Iran. What more needs to be done?
Yeah, good morning. Well, first of all, I would say we actually need to complete the war as far as meeting all those objectives. It's pretty clear we're not there 100%, but it's also very clear that we are most of the way there based on the volume of launches of both drones and missiles from Iran itself, the status of their Navy, and of course, the continuous pursuit of their leadership. Khamenei 2.0 has, I would suspect, a very limited lifespan, and he knows that. And that impacts Iran's ability to continue operations, as well as those folks spend more time running from Assad and the Israelis than they do actually trying to run a nation. So that's critical too there. But I think that in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a severe curtailment of activity as far as Iran's ability to launch, while we continue the pace of operations to hit really what become targets of opportunity nationwide across Iran to make sure they can't threaten their neighbors. And all those things that we've highlighted here, from the movement of oil supplies to the security of not only Israel, but of course other Gulf Cooperation Council nations throughout the region. And frankly, ongoing conflicts Iran has with nations like Afghanistan and Pakistan as well, that are much smaller, but still that are still there and do take some of their attention as also.
Just under 2 weeks and almost there. Got it. Here's Trump giving an update. See if we can pull this up.
We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to.
What could lead to a strike on these facilities?
The refusal of Iran to abjectly surrender, ultimately, I think. But this is one of those areas I'm watching closely also, because I'm concerned about either Israel or us striking things inside Iran that would actually be needed in order to make sure the people of Iran can thrive again and rebuild an economy in a post-Ayatollah kind of world. And that includes oil, of course, which is the hugest part of their economy, but electricity that feeds into all of those systems and makes it all operate, and other things in their nation that, frankly, there may be military value to them at a certain point, but at a point also you don't want to destroy them, because if you start doing that, you're actually harming the people of Iran more necessarily than you are the administration that is trying to hold power. So I think it comes down to how long does Iran, and specifically the dictators and mullahs there, hold out and not recognize the fact that, frankly, their time in command and leadership of Iran is limited at this point. And I don't think they're ever going to recognize that and give up. But if they don't, we could expand to something that has a bigger impact like that.
On that note, we've seen what the Iranian regime is capable of. Would they jeopardize the economy of their own people?
Absolutely, they would. What you've got is a leadership and a dictatorship that has a messianic zeal to destroy the nation of Israel, and also secondarily to affect us, the other great Satan. And they would rather die than capitulate or surrender to us in the first place. So they consider that, in a way, part and parcel of the mission in the first place. They're perfectly fine with dying. They're perfectly willing with sacrificing their own people and their own nation's self-interest and security in order to achieve what they think is the greatest mission of all.
I want to play some tape of the War Secretary this morning for you.
Iran stands alone, and they are badly losing. On day 10 of Operation Epic Fury, we are winning, with an overwhelming and unrelenting focus on our objectives, which are the same as the day I gave my first briefing here on Operation Epic Fury.
Could you describe the pace at which this war has progressed?
Yeah, if you make a simple way to remember everything we're trying to do at the beginning, it's all about launchers, leaders, and logistics. launchers, anything that puts something in the sky to attack foreign nations. Leadership goes to the command and control, not only the people, but the systems behind them, make it possible to communicate and relay information from targeting and commands, you name it, and logistics. Stands on its own. Everybody understands that. So the pace of the war has gone extraordinarily fast given what we anticipated. Ultimately, what we did was we kicked the door open and we flooded the house with people very, very quickly. And that's why we can ramp up operations now, is because you pulled back the envelope of their air defense capability and destroyed it. Once you pull that envelope back and make the skies open and less threatening to aircraft, then you can put more aircraft out there a whole lot faster with impunity and not risk them, which is why you saw things like B-1 bombers come in later, then B-52 bombers come in later, those aircraft that are more susceptible to air defense systems that are complex and high tech. Well, it didn't work in Iran, and most of those systems are Russian based. And so China and Russia are obviously paying attention now too.
And Colonel, are you hopeful that this war will end much sooner than the 4 to 5 week schedule we initially heard about?
I think it's very possible that the kinetic phase would be culminating as we describe it soon, or sooner than anticipated. There will still be some actions going on, but this is when we actually get to the greatest risk of this mission as far as the objectives are concerned. As you transition into hoping that there can be a new form of governance that Iran adopts that will be something peaceful and can work with its neighbors and bring prosperity to the region again. That is the greatest risk to mission failure, is if that doesn't happen, that makes the military success. You have to wonder what's the next phase, I guess.
Can you explain a little bit more about that, the greatest risk?
Well, part of the objective here is clearly to help Iran become what it can be again, what it once was pre-1979, a mostly free and prosperous nation, very well educated in all of those things that you would expect of what a free and prosperous nation can be. So as we've peeled back and removed much of the security apparatus, at least from air defense launcher capabilities and things like that, those things become less effective. Then you can get to the security apparatus like the Quds Force and the IRGC that would be used against its own people. So that's one risk, is what do they do, and do they clamp down harder and become even more violent? Second part of this would be, what's the next part of the next phase, meaning what kind of government goes into Iran? Will they do the best thing for Iran? And can we ensure full removal of the regime that the Khamenei and Ayatollah world represents, regardless of who's standing there or who's sitting in the seat? That entire regime has to go.
Is Iran still a threat at this point?
Oh, of course, they're still a threat. They're just not as big of a threat as they used to be, not only because of ballistic missiles and drones and things like that, although they are severely diminished in capacity and the numbers reflect that. But the threat of their exporting terror hasn't gone away. They were working in the islands north of Venezuela. They've put cells inside the United States. We know this. They've been exporting terror through proxies for decades now, and those proxies in some capacity still exist, whether it's small terror cells up to something as big as Hezbollah. So a complete military victory in the skies of Iran does not eliminate the threat of all those proxy forces acting independently.
How do you think Russia, China, and North Korea, we've been talking about this, are reacting to the U.S. operations progress?
From the military perspective, they see what we're able to do with a nation like Iran that has such an integrated and coordinated higher tech air defense system that is based on the Russian model in the first place, which is very similar to the Chinese model also. They have seen our ability to dominate things, but they also know that our weakness and our challenges that we've had over the decades has been the phases that follow military action in an attempt to create a different environment for government the best we can while making sure the nation itself owns it. Iran owns their own solutions. But the first and foremost thing that they're going to look at is the pace at which we're operating, the ability basically just to knock out the air defense systems and walk in virtually unopposed.
Now let's talk about a cross between military and economics. Listening to President Trump, he says they may even offer some type of insurance for ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump said that he's considering taking the Strait over. What could that look like?
That would be a challenge, of course, but as far as moving ships through the Straits of Hormuz and escorting them, I think that would be a good start. Second to that, of course, is when Lloyd's of London came out and said they're not going to insure the oil shipments going through the Straits. And we stepped in and said, well, then we'll do it. That took away a lot of the, I guess, the intimidation tactics and the fear tactics that had been used to keep ships from moving through in the first place. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to go through right away, because no matter how much insurance you may have on a shipment, they still don't necessarily want to lose that shipment, their crew, and the ship itself if the worst case scenario happens. Dominating both sides of the Straits of Hormuz, though, for us, that involves not only sea access but land access to either side of it, and that becomes a greater challenge to describe how that would actually function.
Lieutenant Colonel Darin Gaub, thank you for coming on the show.